So Ginger is here. So we know that she has a tendency to be obnoxious. If you don't know that already, I did take her for a quick walk, but you know, she's Ginger. So thank you for your patience in logging on. Our goal today is for you to kick butt tomorrow on your quiz. So I'm going through. Hi. I see Jasmine. It's all right if you don't use your real name. Hi, Marcella. Who else is here? Alusine's here. And names that I don't exactly recognize, but hey, welcome. I'm so glad that you came on. So I just put an e-class. If you just logged on, this review sheet was made pretty much while looking at the quiz you're going to take tomorrow. So I gave you things that might be a little bit more challenging. If you want to follow along with that, that's totally fine. But this is really what you need to know to be successful for tomorrow. I agree. This should be like a piece of cake. So let's see. The first thing that we're going to have to do is, let's look here at number 1. It says, give the coordinates of X after being reflected across the X axis. Now, one of the things that you need to pay attention is I have taught you to draw your dots. So this is my dotted line telling me, okay, I'm reflecting on the X axis. The other thing to remember is the X axis is really Y equals 0. So some kids kind of struggle a little bit about like, where does it go? How come it goes across? But it's really a Y equals 0. But the X axis is the across. Now here, all they're doing is they just want you to do X. On your test tomorrow, it's pretty much multiple choice. Like a big hunk of it is simple multiple choice questions where it's just 1 point and you decide how to go from there. Hey guys, welcome. So if I have X across the X axis, all I'm doing is counting. So how many boxes is it from here to here? Who's got me? How many boxes is it from that point up? Let's see. I'll wait. Time. I know someone's going to say it, but whoever says it, you rock. It's just 1 box. So this new point is right here. That's as simple as it is. Now, what you do have to know is you do have to know how to do the coordinates. So let's count the coordinates if you don't know how. We have -1, -2, -3, -4. This point right here is where we're headed. So because we're taking X and we're reflecting it on the X axis. So it's 1 box up to the X axis, and then it's 1 more box up. So that point is 4, but it's in the negative direction. So really it's -4 and then +1. So for the multiple choice, all you're going to do is I'll give you like little grid paper to practice on. You just have to see, okay, where is it going to go when I go up and down? So if I have like the Y axis, it says, okay, now it wants us to do W, but on the Y-axis. So I'm going to do my dotted line. This is the Y-axis. And remember, the Y-axis is really X equals 0. We just have been lying to you your entire lives and telling you that it's the Y-axis, but technically it's X equals 0. And it wants it across the Y-axis. Now, because this line is straight up and down, we have to go straight across. Remember, we always form right angles every time we reflect. A reflection is always going to be right angles. So if I have it right here, W, I'm going to go, okay. Would 2 be -1? It would be -1. Yep. Lauren, I already did the sound effects. You're just delayed, but it's coming. All right. So it's 2 little boxes over to the Y-axis and then 2 more over. So this would be our new point. This is our new point, W prime. So then we just have to figure out, well, that's 2 to the positive. And it's -1 down. And I think Alucine mentioned -1. So if you need on the test tomorrow or on the practice paper I give you to just write which is what the signs are, you can do that. And some kids struggle about how to figure out where the signs are. And all they're going to do is I just have you label it. So like here's 0, 1, 2, 3. And what's backwards would be negative. So it'd be like -1, -2, -3. Same thing. When you go up, you're going in a positive direction. 1, 2, 3. When you're going down, you're going in negative direction. -1, -2, -3. So now you can just look at these numbers that you put on the chart yourself and see, well, here, all these numbers here, highlight tool, all these numbers are positive and these numbers are positive. So I know this is positive, positive. All these numbers are negative and these numbers are positive. So negative, positive. So however you want to figure it out, that's all that you need to be able to do. Hi, Hafsa. Hi, Lauren. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's keep going. So I'm going to just erase this so we have more space. Number 3, again, is, let's see, go back to my pen tool. Number 3 says, give the coordinates of V being rotated 90 degrees. Now, the rotation is the tricky one. There's a couple of things to remember rotation. Every time we rotate 90 degrees, we have to do our flip-flop. Okay. Second, when we do our flip-flop, we pay attention to what the signs of the new quadrant are. So when we do rotations, those are our main things. So coming up here, if it wants us to do it as V, so I've got V, here's my V point. Now my V point is -2. I'm not going to answer that right now, Hafsa. Pretty much you just did pages 12, 13, and 14. -2, -5 is where V is. So we have our hands because we always use our hands. It would be 2, 5. That's exactly correct, Alusan. Here's our 2. Here's our 5. So 90-degree flip puts us at 5 and 2. Then we have to flip-flop back, so we get 2 and 5. So we know that no matter what, we're going to have a 2 and a 5 in that order. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to what the signs are. Well, here is, I'm going to go in a counterclockwise direction. Here, if we had it in this quadrant, our signs would be positive, negative. That's our 90 degrees. But because it says 180, we have to rotate it one more time. That's going to give us our 180 degrees. And in this quadrant, both of our signs are positive. So we can just leave it 2, 5. The main thing to think about is every time we do 90 degrees, we have to flip how our numbers are. And then after we do our flip-flops, then we can decide what are the signs going to be. Let's take a look at the next one. I'm going to, ooh, that was not intentional. Let's see. There we go. Wrong one. And so erase this and start again. So for the next one, it says X after being rotated 90 degrees clockwise. So here's our X point. Clockwise is just like a clock. So this would be like 12 o'clock on a clock. This would be 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So clockwise goes like this. Boom. So if we have 90 degrees, we know we're going to have to do one flip. So our X coordinate is -4, -1. Our new coordinate, we have 4 here and 1 here. 90 degrees is a flip. Bring. So this 4 is down here and our 1 goes forward. So we know our new point is going to have the 1 first and the 4 first. All we have to figure out now is what are the signs going to be. Now, because it's clockwise, this right here is now going to be somewhere in this quadrant. Well, that quadrant, we know that all of our X values are negative and all of our Y values are positive. That's exactly correct. It's going to be -1, +4. Okay, so that's it. -1, +4. So I was wondering if Lauren was laughing so hard. So that's all you got to do, right? Rotate is we do our flip-flop every 90 degrees. We do a flip. Okay. And then we do it again. 180, basically the numbers are going to stay in the same order. The only thing that changes is both signs are the opposite. All right. Let's erase this. If you are just signing on, you might have missed, but I have this exact worksheet, this exact review sheet is in eClass. So if you have access to a printer at home, you can pull it up, or you can also pull it up on eClass on your phone and look back and forth, but that's it. Why isn't X -2? I don't know what you're talking about, Jasmine. I don't know what that one is. You'll have to, can you clarify what number you're talking about? I don't know what that one is. All right, the next one. What is W after a reflection of X equals 1? So if you get in the habit of numbering these, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an ugly 3, but that's a 3. Then you can just draw your line. X is 1. So every line all the way down is x equals 1. It's really important that you draw your line down because that's the line that's the most important. Now it says W, so here's my W. All I'm going to do is count. 1, 2, 3. Goes 3 to that one. X equals 1, so I got to go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. Here's my new point. My new point is going to be at 4, -1. And again, your test is a good hunk of it is multiple choice. I'm not going to be able, number 4, you put -1. You are going to be able to, it's multiple choice. So you'll be able to work it out. Let me double check what I did here. X. Okay. X is here. This point is, let me just, I might have done something wrong. Let me just double check. So this point, let's go over number 4 one more time. 4 is 90 degrees clockwise. So clockwise means it's going this way. My coordinates were -4, -1. When you have your -4, -1, we flip-flop them. So our new order is 1 and 4. And because it's going in this quadrant, we know that all of these x values are negative and all of the y values are positive. So because of that, the negative, it's going to be -1, +4. It doesn't always change the sign. The sign is dependent on which quadrant it rotates to. Okay. And that's because it's 90 degrees. Number 3, we rotated at 180 degrees. So that's why we flipped each of the signs. All right, let's look at number 6. Erase all this stuff. We don't need it anymore. Okay, number 6 is y equals 1. So again, if you numbered your axes, here's our y equals 1 line. So this whole line going across is our line of reflection. So will you always just flip? You will always flip for every 90 degrees when you do a rotation, Jasmine. Yes, you will always flip. You have to, it's not only on a rotation, like if you reflect on the x-axis or y-axis, if you reflect on y equals x, there's also a flip. Okay. All right. So going on y equals 1, we're going to count. So we've got which number are we doing? We're doing W again. I don't know why they like W so much. So we're going to go beep, 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 1, beep, 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 2. So we go 2 up to that line. So we got a 2 more. Here's our new point. Okay. So that new point is -2 because here's -1, -2, and then 1, 2, 3, +3. -2, +3. Okay. You know what? I feel like taking a screenshot real quick. So let's do that because that way I can put it up later if we need to. And I'll just open Word real quick. That way I can upload it for people who missed the video and need to just take a quick look. So let me just go ahead and put this in. And then we will trash this. Okay. Next, I know Ginger really wants to go outside. She's gonna have to wait. Here we go. Reflect the point 4, 1 across y equals x. So this is the flip part that Jasmine was asking about. Here, our y equals x, our y and values will always, and x values will always be the same. So like, here's the point 1, 1. So this is the dot. You have to know what y equals x looks like. Like just for my own sanity and your sanity, except that looks horrible. You have to know that it's just literally going straight across or straight on the diagonal. You need to know that. Okay, so 4, 1. So we're going to plot the point over 4 up 1. So we have it right here. That's point A. Now we've talked about whenever you reflect over a straight horizontal or a straight vertical line, we always count across. We cross the border of the boxes. But when we do it on a diagonal, we have to count the diagonal boxes because we're always trying to form right angles. So if I go like this, boop, 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 there's 1, boop, 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 and a half. So this right here is 1.5 going diagonal. So we have to keep going diagonally. So I'm going to do my half first, boop, and then I'm going to do my extra one. And this is my new point. My new point is 1, 4. Now, the trick that I told you to remember is that, see how this is y equals x? Like it literally gives it to you. You don't even need the graph. All you do for y equals x is you flip-flop. So basically, a rotation, we just flip it. So this is going to be 1, 4. Yep, that's exactly correct. Now, for the 8, it's a little bit different. Let me show you number for 8. For 8, the line goes the opposite way. So y equals negative x goes this way. It goes down, like you're going downhill skiing. So we still have negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 5, which is up here. This is our point B. And now it wants to know what is the coordinates of B prime. So again, all you do is you just follow along. Boop, boop, boop. Half is there, boop, boop, boop. Half, and it's right here, B prime. So that new point is negative 5, positive 4. Basically, when you reflect over y equals x, all we're going to do is flip the order. Okay? For whenever everything's going to be on eClass. I already put it on eClass. So a link to this video is on eClass, and this review sheet is also on eClass. So you didn't really miss anything super as long as you review those things. Okay, so here, not only do you flip it, you also have to change the signs. And kind of how I remember it is anytime you have y equals x, you're going to flip it. But then when you have the negative, yep, exactly. It doesn't mean it's going to be negative. It just means that you flip the sign. So this negative became a positive 4. This positive 5 became a negative 5. So you flip whatever the signs were before. Okay. And yes, the diagonal line goes down because the x is negative. And just to remind you, because we have y equals mx plus b is what you learned hopefully in 7th grade. Y equals negative x. This negative is the slope, which means the slope is negative 1. So when we plot it, we know that there's no intercept. The intercept is at 0. That's the B part. So what we have is we have a slope of negative 1 and we have an intercept of 0. So you learned back in the day that you plot your intercept. So we would plot 0 and then you go down 1 over 1, beep, down 1 over 1, beep, 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 and then same thing. And then for y equals x, so that's why it goes down, because it's got the negative slope. Yep. I think the quiz should be easy. Honestly, I've been trying to stress you out, but I think you guys will be fine. Okay. Translate the point negative 5, negative 2 using the rule. 2 ways to do this problem. First way is you can plot it. So here's negative 5, here's negative 2. And then it says x plus 4. So I know I'm moving in a positive direction. So I'm going to go boop, 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 4. And then it goes x or y minus 2. So this means we're going to go this way for positive and then down. Boop, boop. And here's my new point. That's one way you can do it. The other way that you can do it is just do the math. So here yep, that's how you do the points. This is 0. And this is the positive, the negative, positive, negative. And some students just put plus signs and minus signs to help them. So here, I could also just do, well, what's negative 5 plus 4? Well, negative 1. And then so that's what this one is. Then I could do, well, what's negative 2 minus 2? Negative 4. And you could also do it algebraically. So that's how you would do it algebraically. When you go live for everything or just on some stuff. I'm going to go live on everything that should be on your quiz. So if it's not on here, I'm 99% sure it's not on your quiz. And I'm typing your quiz up tonight. So I will guarantee you if I don't cover it in this video, you won't see it tomorrow unless I make it a bonus problem. Okay, next. We're getting done. We're already on 10. Okay, a couple things. Number 10. We have here a transformation. And we have to determine what is the transformation and what is the rule. So a couple things that I think about. whenever I see these, see how I'm going to intentionally circle these points different colors. Okay, we're going to get, hey, Damien, we're going to get more to rotations coming up, and I can review rotations one more time on a different worksheet if we need to do that. So now it says A to A prime. So here's my new A. Okay, here's my new C, and here's my new B. Do you see how everything kind of just keeps going in the same direction? It's not like anything was turned. It just kind of slid. Okay. So because it slid, we know that it's a translation because of the slide. Now we have to figure out how did it slide? And truly speaking, this really slid backwards because look at, here's our A, here is our A prime. And I just did, that's a good example of how not to do it on the real test. This right here is the pre-image because there's no little lines. This is the image because there is the lines. So I have to see, okay, how did I get from there to there? Well, this point I went boop, 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 1, 2, 3. I went 3 in the negative direction. So I know my X value is -3. So I could just write down X minus 3 because I had to move my X backwards 3. And then the B, after I went backwards 3, I went up 1. So I would write Y plus 1. The other way that you could see is if you wanted to write it like with the Pac-Man mouth, you can write it with the Pac-Man mouth and it makes the same thing. I got a slide of 3 and not 4. So double check that one. I got a slide of 3. Now this one's a little different. What makes this a little different is see how right here, this is where the long line is. If it was a translation, the new triangle would look like that. Okay. So because it's turned to, it either is a reflection or it's a rotation. So we know it can't be a translation because it would look like that. If it was a reflection, then there'd have to be a line. And then again, it would be very similar to that. So it can't really be a reflection either. Yep, Alison's right. This right here is a rotation. And we know it's a rotation for a couple of reasons. One, look at the points. This point right here, pen tool, is -2, +1. So what's this point though? 1, 2. Notice how there's a flip? Here, this point is -6, +3. Here, this point is +3, 6. So again, we had a flip. Okay. Can you please specify what you mean the rule for X and Y? I don't know what that means. So because these flipped, I remember every time we do a 90 degrees, it flips. So I know that this has to be a rotation. Now, again, I think, Jasmine, you're the one that's really good at labeling pre-image and image. This right here is going to be my pre-image, and this is my image. So I know I have a rotation. It is 90 degrees because I only moved one quadrant, okay? And you can kind of see, like, look at this. Here is my one right angle. This formed a right angle. If I took this line further, this would form a right angle, and C would form a right angle. So that 90 degrees is it. Now, because it's going counterclockwise, you can leave it as a rotation of 90 degrees, or you can write a 90 degrees counterclockwise. Honestly, on your test, I think it's a multiple choice question. Like when I did the first problem of translation. Like problem number 1, I can go over, you can watch the video for number 1 if that's what you're thinking about, or do you mean number 10? Okay. So real quick, let's just look at, I think you might be meaning number 10. So I'm going to do this translation one more time because all I'm doing is I'm going to pick 2 points that matter to me. So I picked B because it's easier to see B. So here's B. Well, it'd be easier if I didn't like write over it. This point right here for B is 1, 2, 3, 6. Okay. There's 3, 6. This B prime is 0, 7. So if I know that this is my pre-image, the first image, and this is my image, my second image, I have to think, okay, if I had $3 and now I have $0, what did I do? Yes, olive sign. If it was negative 90 degrees, you could either put negative 90 degrees or you could write clockwise 90 degrees. Either way. So if I have $3 and now I have $0, what did I do? Well, for my X, I had 3, but now I don't have 3 anymore. I subtracted 3 because I have 0. So 3 minus 3 will give me the 0. If I have 6, but now I have $7, what happened? Well, my Y value, all I did is I added $1 to it. That's kind of where it comes from. So you look at your X. What did you do to the X to get it to the next space? In this case, we had to move the X back 3 spaces. I had $3. Now I have no money. Why? I spent $3 and got something. I have $6. Now I have $7. What did I do? I added $1. And that's how that comes up. And this, again, I wrote slide, but it's a translation. Okay, next. And the clock on my computer, if you can see the whole computer screen, is wrong. So that's perfect. I'm glad you understand now. There's a lot of problems like this. Yep, that's right. Go over 3 and up 1. The only thing you need to be careful by saying over 3 and up 1 is make sure you, instead of saying over, say like left 3, right 3. Okay, that's the big thing. Up 1 obviously is different than up down. But when you say go over 3, what do you mean? Go over left, go over right. All right, this one is mapping new points. This really focuses on rules. And honestly, I haven't taught you a lot about the rules because I think most kids understand it better when I teach the concepts. But all we're going to do is like plug it in. Okay, so here, see how this says XY? And then now it says negative X, negative Y. So all we're going to do is for each point, say, Shamit, the rotations will always be by a factor of 90 degrees, 180 degrees, or 270 degrees. So however you do it, it'll always be a factor of 90 for your test. So because this says negative X, all I'm going to do is switch the signs. So this says 2. The opposite of 2 is negative 2. So here I'm just going to write negative 2. Here's for negative 3. The opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. Here we've got 4, 5. The opposite of positive 4 is negative 4. The opposite of positive 5 is negative 5. So the order doesn't change. The only thing that changes is the sign. So let's take a look at what it would look like. If we have 2, negative 3, it'd be over 2, down 3. Here would be my first point. And over 4, up 5 would be my second point. So here's my A line. Okay, this is A and this is B. My new points are negative 2, positive 3, and negative 4, negative 5. So if it was a reflection, then what would happen is this A would go right here. Because when we reflect, it's like it stays the same. Okay, my wrists are always on the bottom. Because the A is on the bottom, like my wrist would be A over here. But now the A is on the top. Look, I had to rotate my hands. In order for me to do that, I had to do a rotation. So because if it was just like this, boop, fine. But because the A jumped sides, that makes it the rotation. The other thing you could remember is rotation for the 180 degrees. I should say rotation 180 degrees is that the numbers stay in the same place, but the signs switch. Okay, next I'm going to just erase this one. Okay. And next we have the same. Oh, I just did the eraser tool too much. Too much. All right, that's fine. Pen tool blue. A. Next, so same point, but now we're going to keep the X the same and change the Y. So I'm going to keep the same X 2, but now my Y value is going to be the opposite. So this is going to be positive 3. And B, my X stays the same, 4, but my Y changes, negative 5. So let's plot it out. the hint I told you was always cover your finger, but I don't want to get that confused you. Forget what I just said. Okay, so we have 2, 3. So here's over 2, up 3. And then we have 4, -5. So this is my new A. This is my new B. Because it makes an X, oftentimes if it makes an X, it's oftentimes a reflection. Not always, but it oftentimes is. I can see that it's a reflection on the X-axis. Okay. You could also write Y equals 0. I'll take either. And the reason why I know is if I count here, that's 3. 3, 4, and 4. So that's how I know that it reflects on the X-axis, because the A and the A prime are equidistant, or the same distance from, the line of reflection. Next. Okay, let's do another one. For 12, it cannot be a translation because the A switch, it can be a reflection on the X-axis and a reflection on the Y-axis. Alusign asked, can it also be a translation? Translation, it always would have faced the same orientation. So because the A went from the B in the bottom to the top, that's why it could not have been a translation. All right, let's plot these points. 2, -3, 4 and 5 again. That line is awful. Now the X and Y, so the X becomes negative. So it's just going to be a flippity floppity over here. So that means that our line of reflection is on the Y-axis, or X equals 0. And so our points would be, this says negative. So we're going to do the opposite of what this says, -2. This says stay the same. So this will be -3. B, it says do the opposite of X. So that'll become -4. And then keep the Y value. Good questions. You guys are participating a lot. I appreciate you. Next. Same thing, 2, 4, 5. Here's our line. It says -Y, -X. So hopefully you remember from earlier, whenever you flip and the signs change, it's always going to be a reflection. But let's double check. So here's our A, here's our B. It's going to be a reflection of the Y equals X. Okay, because they switch spots and they're negated. Y equals -X and they're negated. So this -3 is now +3. This 2 is now -2. If I look here, I have to put the 5 first, but it's the opposite. So it's -5. And then I'm going to put my -4. So when I graph it, I get +3, -2, +3, -2. And I get -5. Wait, hold on. What did I do wrong? -5, -4. Oh, no, I did it right. -5, -4. And it looks kind of funny. Like, how could it be? But remember, I told you 90% of the time, when you do a transformation and you get an X, it is oftentimes a reflection. So I can see, well, how could it possibly have reflected? Well, this shares one little diagonal. So it means it has to have gone through this line. Okay, so that gives you that equal distance. This is a reflection of Y equals -X. And this was the rotation of 180, depending how your phones are. Okay, next. Again, this is way harder than what you're going to see tomorrow, because a lot of tomorrow, you're not going to have to graph anything because it's all on the computer. It's pretty much multiple choice. The only thing is I decided to make multiple versions of the test. So that's the only caveat, is you're going to have to go for it yourself. Here's our 2, -3, our 4, 5. Here's my line. Now it says the Y stays the same and goes first, and the X changes. So I'm going to put here's our -3. So I have to put the Y first. So that's going to be -3. And then the X is going to change. Next, the Y goes first. So it's going to be 5. The X stays the same, or the X changes signs. So now just plot it out. -3, 1, 2, 3, -2. +5, -4. So here we have this line. Now, it kind of doesn't, you are going to have graph paper that I have little grids already numbered for you. So all you're going to do is you can sketch it on the graph paper that I have for you, and then you'll be fine. This is an example where it's important to mark the points. So how this was A and this was A prime, and this was B and this is B prime. All we're kind of thinking is, how did it move? Well, if I draw a line, can you see that these form a right angle? And if I go here, well, it's kind of hard to do from how I have it. Basically, all I'm doing is I'm turning it, I'm rotating it 90 degrees. So this is just going to be a rotation of 90. And it's a rotation of 90 for two things. First of all, the order changes. So they all are their opposites, right? Not sure what that means. So because they did a flip-flop, hey, Kaiwan, because they did a flip-flop, that's how we know it's a rotation. Because this is this here and this here, they switched order. So really, we know that these two are going to be changed orders. The other thing is the signs changed. This was in this quadrant, so this was positive, negative, and now it switched and became negative, negative. Yeah, this one I'm not explaining very well. Let me do this one more time. Thanks for saying that. Whenever we do a rotation, we know the two things with rotation is that the signs flip every 90 degrees. And the other thing that we know is that we take the signs of the new quadrant. So hopefully this part right here, you got, because all we're doing is looking at this rule. And this rule says that what you do is you're going to take the y and you're going to put it first. So that's what we did. -3 went first here. 5, here's the y for this one. 5 went first here. Then it says to take the x value and make it the opposite. So the opposite of +2 is -2. The opposite of +4 is -4. So first things first is you just follow whatever rule they give you. So we just followed the rule. Now we have to tell them what the rule is. Well, because we know that they flipped, that means that only two things could have happened. One, and what I mean by flip is that the x and y changed places. The two things that could have happened is either it reflected over the line y equals x or y equals -x, or it was a rotation. Typically speaking, the only time it would be a reflection on y equals x is if there's no change in signs like this one. See how the signs don't change for the bottom? So that's the only way that it could be it. Yes, the x and y completely guide you. If it was a -x, -y, like this first one, actually that's not even it because it like this one, not this one. Because that other pink one, number 15, it was a flip-flop, like it was good. And the sign, both signs changed. That's the other reason why we know it's a reflection. Any other time that the y and the x tell you they change places, it is guaranteed going to be a rotation. So when I plot this point, my first point is negative. My first was 2, -3. So here is my first point, 2, -3. Then my new point is -3, +2. And so what some kids will do is they'll just draw this as a box to kind of get at the visual. So I'll shade this in like that video you saw on Friday. If I shade this in, it makes a little bit more sense. That box turned. Well, how did it turn? Well, it went in this direction. Every time we move a quadrant, we know that we did a 90-degree rotation. So it moved one quadrant. So we know it went 90 degrees. Now we have to think, okay, did it go 90 degrees in a clockwise direction or 90 degrees in a counterclockwise direction? Because it was like this is considered clockwise. So this is a rotation, clockwise, 90 degrees. Can someone give me a thumbs up, yes, no, that we get it, that I did it more slowly? Number 17 is very similar. So I'll model 17 also real quick, but I need to know if I need to do this beyond 17, please. So just send me a little comment. Next, for 17, it's the same thing. It tells us that they flip. So I know that this says right here, all right, Dr. Erie, you got to flip it. So I'm going to flip it. Here's my negative y. Perfect. Thank you, guys. So here's my negative y. So I know I'm going to type in the opposite of this. So because that is -3, the opposite of -3 is +3. So I'm going to put a +3. Then it says whatever your x is, +2. Same thing for the b. I need to do the opposite of the y. So the opposite of +5 is -5. And then the x stays the same. So I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm just honestly going to plot 1 point again. We've got our first point is over 3, or over 2 down 3. So here's our first point. That's our A. And our new point is 3, 2. So again, if you need to draw the box, like in the video, draw the box in the video. No big deal. And the way that you know to draw the box, let me model that one more time with a highlight tool instead, is you just draw to the axes and fill it in. So from the point down, point across and fill it in. So now when I look at that, I can see that there was a rotation, that I did one quadrant of a rotation. But what happened is I started here and I went this way. So I know that I rotated, and I would say just 90 degrees, but you could write counterclockwise 90 degrees. Okay. Last one. Yay for us. So now we're going to go back here, go to my pen tool. Okay, let's erase this. Okay, pen tool. So now it says, here's our same point, 2, -3, but it wants us to flip it. So now it was 2, -3. So if I just flip it, I'm going to get -3, 2. For 4, 5, flipping it will give me 5, 4. So if this is my first point, and now it tells me, guess what? Your new point is -3, +2. You're like, dude, how did I get from here to here? Well, you might think it might be a rotation. And technically speaking, it would only be a rotation if it, let's see, would it be a rotation? The answer is they want you to do a reflection of y equals x. Hold on 1 second. -3, +2. -2, +3. So let's count. Okay, so basically here we've got 1, 2 and a half. Here's my half, here's my 1, here's my 2. So that's in essence how it proves it. 4, 5. Oh, my line stinks. Let me draw that line one more time. I didn't do a very good job drawing that y equals x because that's not matching up. It'll match up better if you do it correctly. Okay, now we can do that. Here's 2 and a half. Here's 2 and a half. This other point went from 4, 5, so up here, to 5, 4, right here. So because of that, that's how we know it's a reflection. If it was a rotation, the letters would not stay the same, because a rotation would call it, yep, the rotation degrees depends on the point and the quadrants. If it was a rotation, the A would have to be over here and the B would have to be here. Because the A and B match up, like when I discussed my wrists, the wrists match up, that's how you know it's a reflection. So this is a reflection of y equals x. And I am going to take a picture of that one real quick. No. Copy. trash can. I think I missed one, but that's fine. I'll get it from the video later. Next. Okay, yay, our last two problems. Determine the coordinates of the image, plot the image, and determine if it is isometric transformation or not. Remember, the only time that it is not isometric is if it's a dilation. All the other times, it's isometric. So let's take a look. They're very nice. They give you the original points, and then they give you the rule. And they tell you the rule is subtract 5 from the x and add 3 to the y. So I'm just going to take, here's my first one is 1. 1 minus 5. Do you mean, am I going to put the, my goal is to upload the answers to eClass. So yep, that's the goal. My preference is you also watch the video so that way you understand why the answers are the answers. Okay, here we've got 1 minus 5. So if you have $1 and you need $5 and you need to spend $5, you need $4 more. So that's just going to be -4. Then my y is I take my -4 and I add 3. So this is going to be -1. So you can do it algebraically like that, or you could just count it out and be like, here we go. Let's go backwards 5. Boop, 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 boop. Then go up 3. Boop, boop, boop. Either way, you'll get the same answer, whether you want to do it mathematically or whether you want to do it this way. I'm just going to do it mathematically for time. So I've got 2 minus 5 is -3. -1 plus 3 is +2. 6 minus 5 is 1. -4 plus 3 is -1. So I'll plot my points over here. -4, -1. Ooh, that was wrong. -4, -1. -3, -2. And where else? Something's not right. Hold on, something's not right. Subtract 5. Yep. Add 3. Yep. 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 Oh, that's what's wrong. Sorry, my bad. Here we go. Here's our 3. Y. Let's do this one more time. My new point, perfect, is -4, -1, -3, +2, and +1, -1. There we go. So here's our new image. Is it an isometry? Yes, because the shape stayed the same, and it's obviously a translation. Next, it says do the next one. Here's the rule. You're multiplying it, 2x times 2y. All that means is each x value we're going to multiply by 2. Each y value we're going to multiply by 2. So -2 times 2 is -4. 1 times -1 times 2 is -2. -1 times 2 again is -2. 2 times 2 is 4. All I'm doing is taking this rule and applying it to these coordinates. 3 times 2 is 6. -1 times 2 is -2. So we plot it. -2, -1. Here's our first one. Oh, never mind. They already plotted that one for us. We plot our new points. Nope, they're not both isometries. Now we're going to do -4, -2, which is without my glasses. 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. -2, +4. -2, +4. And then +6, -2. So about like this. Okay. Yep. The second is a dilation. Great job. It is not isometric and it is a dilation. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. Let me pull up real quick one more thing because I know some people still are struggling with rotation. So let me see what I can get on. Let's see if I can pull up a quick rotation worksheet for you. Everything got mixed up. So we'll go like this. Nope. This is what I get for trying to pull up another worksheet. Hold on. Come on. There we go. This is going to go here. You don't want to hide my chat. Where's my chat? Okay, here we go. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let me X this out. Trash can. See if something comes up real quick. Yep, this comes up. Perfect. All right, so here we go again. These look a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. Let me just do a couple real quick to make sure you get it. The first one says a rotation of 80 degrees. Next, so about the origin. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep going. Dilation is always, yep, that's correct. Dilation is always multiplication and division. Technically, a division is just multiplication by a fraction. Okay, so this point right here is -1, -2, -3, -4. So F is -4, +2. So that means if I rotate 180 degrees, you can either go clockwise or you can go counterclockwise. I'm going to go counterclockwise. That means I'm going to flip 4, 2, gets flipped to 2, 4, and then we flip back to 4 and 2. So I know my new point has got a 4 and a 2 in it. And so I can either count 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and know that way it's the negative. Or I can think, okay, F is going to be somewhere in this quadrant. So I know all the values in this quadrant are positive and negative. Okay, let's look at the next one. N. N is -1, -2. I know what 180 degrees. We have 1, 2. So we flip it for 90, 2, 1, flip it back, 1, 2. And I know that N has to go boop, 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 in this quadrant. And I know everything in this quadrant is positive, positive. So N prime will just stay that. Next, I've got K. K is 1, 2, 3, +3, 0. And I know I'm doing another 180 degree turn. So K is going to go boop, 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 boom, boop, 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 boom. And so my new K prime is -3, 0. And lastly, P. P is 1, 4, 1, 4, flip, flop, 4, 1, flip, flop, 1, 4. So I know P is going to go here, and then it's got to be somewhere down here. And I know all my values in the bottom quadrant are always negative. So now that I've got my points, I can plot it. So I've got 4. Let's erase this stuff so we don't get confused with all my doobie-dops. I've got 4, -2. So over 4, down -2. This is my F prime. I've got 1, +1, +2. This is my N prime. So we'll connect those. I've got -3, 0. So this is my K prime. And I've got -1, -4. This is my P prime. And then if you connect the dots, that is what the rotation is. Remember, anytime we do rotations, we flip, flop every 90 degrees. Flip it 90 degrees, flip it back 180. Flip it again 270. So let's just look at one more example, and then I will say y'all can go if you want to. Let's take a look here. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. This says rotations are 90 degrees, and we're doing it count. Woo! That was unhelpful. Counterclockwise. So this point, my point N. N is -5, -4. So I need to figure out my new N, and it wants 90 degrees. So I've got 5 and 4. So I got to flip it one time because it's just 90 degrees. So now I've got a 4 here and I've got a 5 here. Because every time we do 90 degrees, we always have to flip the signs. So now if it's going this way and it's going counterclockwise, we're going in this direction. So that means that if this is -4, this was, ooh, what did I do? This should be a negative. Then going this way, my new quadrant has positive X's and negatives. Hey, it's. So this way, it's going to be +4, -5. And that's going to be where my new point is. Now we've got K or X. X is -3, -2. So I've got 3 and a 2. Flip it. Now I've got a 2 and I've got a 3. So I'm just going to write 2 and 3. But I have to still go that one quadrant. So that means my 2 is going to be positive and my 3 is going to be negative. Lastly, I've got B. My B value is a little trickier. I've got 4, 1. So I've got -4, 1. Still got to do it. Flip it. 1, 4. And I got to pay attention. All right, I'm in this one. Now I'm in this quadrant. What do I know about everything in this quadrant? Both signs are negative. So now it's negative, negative. So now I'm going to erase all this. And let's plot the new points. We have 4, 4, -5. So I'm going to do +4. 1, 2, 3, 4, down -5. This is our new N. I've got 2, -3. So I'm going to go +2, -3. 1, 2, 3. This is my new X. And then I've got -1, -4. -1, -4. And this is my new B. So when I connect the dots, this is what it looks like. Okay, and you can kind of see it. Again, they should always form right angles. So like this B, if I go boop, 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 right angles. How this is 1, 4 here, this makes another triangle that's 1, 4, kind of hidden inside. It forms right angles. You always have to have right angles when you do rotations. That's what moves it. It always will spin. Well, for your purposes, it'll always spin by 90 degrees, 180 or 270. Same thing, reflections, always do that. All right, so I'm going to end us here. We've hit just about an hour. You guys have been really, really great. I thank you for that. You can go on Remind if there's something that you need to send to me and that you need. I would be happy to do what I can to get back to you on it. The main thing to think about is jump into eClass. Look at all that writing on my head. Jump into eClass, and when you're in eClass, you can go ahead and get the review sheet that I just did and these videos. And I have to go get Freddie real soon, but I'll see what I can do to put the answers up on eClass in the next like 20 minutes so that you guys have that too. And I will see you tomorrow. And where we're going to be is just on the door. Look at the door. On my door, I'll have a note about where you should be. And that's where we're going to go over the quiz. That's where we're going to go over possibly the project that you need to do for 9th grade academy. And then also perhaps one additional thing for those people who are high flyers. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. Have a great night. And I'm going to X out. Ciao. Let's stop sharing. And then we're going to stop our broadcast right